In this lesson, we're taking a closer look at two essay types that students often confuse. By the end, you'll be able to spot argumentative and analytical essays by their signal words, structure, and core purpose. That matters when you're planning an assignment, because choosing the wrong approach can send a clear, well-researched essay in the wrong direction before you even finish the introduction. We'll move from definitions to structure, then into worked examples and common pitfalls, so you can tell not just what each essay is called, but how it actually works. As you watch, think like a planner. Listen for the wording of the task, the kind of thesis it needs, and what each body paragraph is really meant to do. An argumentative essay is a persuasive, evidence-led response to a debatable issue. Its job is not just to describe a topic, but to convince the reader that your position is the stronger one. The key word here is debatable. If reasonable people could disagree, you have the kind of question that can support an argument. Your claim also has to be defensible. That means you can support it with evidence, reasoning, and a line of logic that holds together across the essay. Assignment prompts often signal this essay type with words like argue, justify, assess, evaluate, and to what extent. Those words usually mean you need to make a judgment, not just explain content. So when you see those signals, ask yourself one question right away. What position am I being asked to defend? A strong argumentative essay usually follows a clear four-part structure, and each part helps move the reader toward your conclusion. It begins with a hook and enough context to frame the issue, then leads to an arguable thesis. Arguable is the key word. A thesis should take a position that someone could challenge. The body paragraphs then do the heavy lifting. Each one should advance one main argument, supported by evidence and followed by explanation that links the evidence back to your claim. A serious counterargument paragraph comes next. This is not a token sentence admitting the other side exists. It shows that you understand an opposing view well enough to answer it. After that, your rebuttal explains why your position still stands. This is where you regain control of the argument and show why your evidence remains more convincing. The conclusion should synthesize the case rather than simply repeat it. By the end, the reader should feel that your argument has built logically toward one defensible judgment. Let's look at what this means in real assignments. In clinical psychology, a prompt might ask you to assess the effectiveness of cognitive behavioral therapy for a specific condition. That word assess usually means you are weighing evidence and arriving at a judgment. You are not listing studies at random. You are building a case about how effective the treatment really is. In psychology, you might see a task that asks you to argue for or against the claim that memory is reconstructive. That wording makes the expectation even clearer. You need a side. Your tone in this kind of essay should be confident but measured. You're making a strong academic claim, but you are doing it through evidence, reasoning, and fair engagement with other views. So when a prompt asks you to assess or argue, read that as a signal to judge, defend, and persuade. The most common mistake in an argumentative essay is treating it like a discussion essay and giving both sides equal weight all the way through. That weakens your line of argument. A counterargument should be taken seriously, but it still needs a rebuttal. If the essay ends with the reader unsure where you stand, the argument has not fully landed. Your conclusion needs to come down on a side and show why that judgment is the most convincing one. Now let's turn to the analytical essay. Here, your job is to break a topic, text, theory, or dataset into component parts and explain how those parts work. Instead of asking the reader to accept your position, you are helping them understand function, relationship, and meaning. The question is less what side do you take, and more how does this thing operate. This is why analytical writing often feels more investigative than persuasive. You are unpacking a system and showing what each part contributes. Prompts often signal this essay type with words like analyze, examine, explore, and interpret. Those verbs usually ask you to break down and explain, not argue for a side. So before you plan your essay, ask what the task wants from you: a judgment or an explanation of how the parts produce an effect. An analytical essay also needs a clear structure, but its logic is different from an argumentative one. You are organizing understanding, not building a case for a side. Start by identifying exactly what you are analyzing and the lens you will use. That lens might be biological function, narrative technique, theoretical framework, or clinical mechanism. From there, organize the body paragraphs by component. Each paragraph should focus on one part of the whole, so the reader can follow the breakdown clearly. Then comes the step students often skip: interpretation. Don't stop at presenting evidence. Explain what that evidence shows and why that part matters. In other words, every piece of evidence should do analytical work. It should reveal a function, a pattern, a relationship, or an effect. As the essay moves forward, the parts should begin to connect. The reader should start to see how individual elements combine to create a larger meaning or outcome. Your conclusion then synthesizes those parts and states the deeper insight the analysis reveals. It answers not just what you found, but why that finding matters. Let's put that into practice with analytical examples. In biology, a prompt might ask you to analyze how the structure of an enzyme determines its function. That does not ask for a personal position. It asks you to explain mechanism, which structural features matter, and how do they shape what the enzyme can do. In clinical psychology, you might be asked to examine how cognitive distortions maintain anxiety. Again, the task is to unpack the process, not defend one side of a debate. A common pitfall here is description disguised as analysis. Students sometimes list features, stages, or symptoms without explaining what those details actually do. A useful test is to ask yourself a simple question: what does this component actually do within the whole? If your paragraph cannot answer that clearly, you probably need more interpretation and less description. To bring it together, an argumentative essay defends a position, while an analytical essay breaks something apart to show how it works. Confusing those two approaches can cost marks even when your research is strong. If you want to review these distinctions, revisit the Essay Types Guide and the lesson slides, then carry this comparison into the next lesson on expository and reflective essays.